Good evening, denizens of the internet. This is Kreider here with another Magic deck tech / couple of games. There you go. It's even on Friday night, so we could even call this Friday Night Magic. Ooh. So here we go. We're going to start tonight. We're going to play Bab's Dark Jeskai Control. Really wanted to put this through its paces tonight. She raves about this when she talks about her decks, and see how good it is. So let's take a look at it. Now, I did modify this a little bit. She has 27 land in her deck, which is absolutely blows me away. I haven't played that much land since I was playing Green Eldrazi during Zendikar days. But, you know, it probably works for her. But I did change it up just a little bit so it meets, plays a little bit better for me. At least I hope it does. So first off, we're going to start. We got Jace, Vern's Prodigy. The deck has a lot of sorceries and some instants, and his -3, being able to recast him is really good. Plus you can protect himself. I mean, you can always go to his ultimate. I've only done that once ever. It's kind of neat to do. Mill to mill deck. That was entertaining to say the least. Next up we have a Reprisal as a 2 of, a Reproach as a 2 of, and Celestial Flare as a 2 of. These are your 3 removal packages that she put in here. I actually don't think it's a bad idea because between the 3 of them hits everything in the game. Knowing when to play these spells is probably, especially the Flare versus the Reproach, the Reprisal, probably win you games. I mean, you really can't mess these up too much, I suppose. A lot of your creatures that have over 4 power don't have or have a higher toughness than 4. Not all of them, though. So there could be a time when picking the correct one of these to use is very important to your later game. Next up, you have Telling Time. This is one of your draw mechanisms in the deck. Really good card. Let's go down 3. I mean, there's not much else to say about that card. You know, you look at top 3, pick one, put one on top, one on bottom. So you can get rid of the most useless of the 3 cards. And it's an instant, which is fantastic because this deck runs counter spells. All 5 of them, 3 spell tribbles, and 2 Scatter to the Winds. And the Scatter, you'd like to actually use that with its Awaken cost if possible, but in the grand scheme of things, you're better off just countering something if you have to, if you don't have a way of dealing with it. One of the 8, and I did say 8, mass removal in the deck is Radiant Flame she were carrying, 2 of them. This is the only reason this deck runs red. She doesn't have a lot of red sources, so I'm kind of curious on how often you can actually drop this on turn 3 when you need it. In other decks I've played, it came out pretty well. My 5-color control, I'll run it, but I'm also running a whole lot more land fetch, so we'll see what happens. Alright, this is an addition I put in the deck as the Suppression Bonds. I noticed she really didn't have a way to interact with an early Planeswalker. Having 2 of them doesn't give me a lot of a chance to do so, but better to have something than nothing at all is my thought process in this. And that brought me back down to 25 land, so that works out pretty good in my mind. See how well it works in practice. Next up we have Brilliant Spectrum. Probably the best card draw in the game right now, especially if we're playing 4 colors. Draw 4, discard 2. Fantastic. If it was only an instant, it's the only thing I wish, but you can't have everything. Your second set of mass removal is your Languish. If you're playing black, this is probably the best one. Up until Battle for Zendikar, this was the premier removal, mass removal in the game, because all you had was that and Tragic Arrogance, and now Planner Outburst, which is the next card, if I remember right, or it's one of the next cards, is the premier. Languish gets rid of a lot of the stuff you're going to see in the first 5 turns of the game. So it's a very powerful card. Definitely want to have at least one in your deck in this particular situation where you got a bunch of different mass removal spells. Next up you have Gideon Ally Zendikar. He's really the card I'm thinking of when I say early Planeswalker, because if he comes down on turn 4, you have a hard time in front of you, because he can just pump out 2 2s, or he can start swinging for 5. And if he's actually your opponent's actually playing a weenie deck of some sort, you can pump him up and maybe get him out of Radiant Flames or Languish range, which is a bad day for you. But we're playing our own. We're also playing ways of interacting. Next up is your Planar Outburst. Great card, destroys all non-land creatures. Not many creatures have regeneration, so you don't have to worry about that for the most part. All you have to worry about is awakened lands, and this actually awakens for 8, and if you have 9, you can swing for 4. So easily one of my favorite cards out of Battle for Zendikar card set. Tragic Arrogance, basically bring it down to 1 of everything but lands. You really can't go wrong with this spell. If they have a bunch of awakened lands or they have a couple of planeswalkers, you can definitely get rid of one with this. Probably the weakest of the mass removal, but if they're playing a lot of cards, it works out. And then you have Angelic Edict. The Edict is your catch-all for enchantments and creatures. It gets rid of pretty much everything in the game, with the exception of the untargetable creatures, Hexproof and Shroud. Next up, you have Ob Nixilis Reignited. Fantastic. Gets you card advantage, destroys creatures, and if you happen to get off his ultimate and next turn you drop out, or that same turn even, you play out a Brilliant Spectrum, you just dealt 8 damage to him, no matter what you just got. He can finish out a game quickly. His ultimate is one of the few that just because you play it doesn't mean you'll win. Most of the other ones, it's very low chance of you winning. You still have a chance to lose if this is activated because they have time to beat you. So just keep that in mind if you happen to play Ob Nixilis. Next up you have Part the Water Veil, and I'm thinking this might be why this deck had 27 land in it, because you want to get up to 9-10 mana as quickly as possible, have this spell in hand, play it, and get yourself a 6/6 land, and 2 turns to have swings in with it. Really powerful spell. It's a one-time use only for probably 99.9% of the time. The ability to bring stuff back from exile, even though we can't control it, does give you that 0.1% chance of bringing it back. I've never seen it. I doubt I ever will, but it'd be kind of cool to see it come back and then play it twice. Real powerful spell. It's unfortunate we can only have 1, but it's also good because you could lock out your opponent for a couple turns once you hit 10 mana with this, so pretty happy in that regard. And then finally we have everybody's favorite 10 mana casting cost, Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. To be honest, what you hit with his exile clause at the front depends on the time, what it looks like. This deck isn't made to get him out as quick as possible, so hitting lands may not be the best option. Something else to think about too with him excuse me, is if your opponent's playing Ulamog, you probably don't want to play yours first, unless you absolutely have to. And if you do, it's probably a good idea to have a counterspell handy. But once you get him out there, most games, if he swings once or twice, it's game over. He's great for that. I actually think for 10 he's a little underpowered, especially since he's indestructible, so that really limits how many things can get rid of him permanently. But there are answers to Ulamog. And finally, we're going to come up here to the lands. Babs had 5 and 5 for islands and plains. When I went down to 25 lands, I went to 4 and 4. Probably the right call. We'll see about that. So I also have 2 swamps, 1 forest, mountain. Reading is fundamental. Then you've got your 2 shambling vents, 2 smoldering marsh, 2 sunken hollows, 2 prairie streams, your 2 glacial fortress, and then your deck thinning evolving wilds. Kind of a fan of that. So that's why, or that's how the deck plays out. Now, one of the reasons I decided to go down to 25, I just got through watching Bounce Burn Buff's last video, where he has 26 land in his deck, and it's a blue-white control, which is basically what the shell is. And the next thing that happens, he gets smashed because he keeps drawing land and land and land. And oh, I had draw spell. Draw 2 cards, a counter spell and land, and he's getting beat down the whole game by a shambling Fend. And he gets pretty salty. I mean, it's not too bad. It's nothing compared to Mobius. Is what he's had on his channel before, but it was just unfortunately I had to say it's amusing because it was pretty funny. But I was like, man, this guy's luck just died on him. But anywho's, that's why I went into 25 land, because I flood out in 25 quite frequently. So when I start playing this deck, what that means is I'm not going to flood out. I'm going to have problems getting land. But we'll see. So anyway, there's the deck tech. I'll post that up and I'll get some games in here in just a second. So see you guys in a few minutes. Have a great evening.